Hi and welcome to the Malat Cookery channel. So today I'm going to be making fillet steak Cantonese style, and the Malat spice we're going to be using from their range today is the Chinese salt and pepper seasoning. So for those that are new to the channel was originally set up as part of an extensive customer service support program for Malat customers to get the best they possibly could from their purchases. Now I do appreciate we have a lot of subscribers now that are either not Malat customers or don't have access to the Malat spice blends range because of the country that they live in. So with regard to the Chinese salt and pepper seasoning for this particular recipe, then substitute it with half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of white pepper, half a teaspoon of salt, and half a teaspoon of star anise powder. And the way you can get that is to take 1 star anise, dry roast it for about 5 minutes, and then grind it in a pestle and mortar. So before we actually have a look at the ingredients, I just want to explain a little bit about the term fillet steak Cantonese style. Now, there may be Chinese restaurants and takeaways out there that do actually serve fillet steak or tenderloin steak or sirloin steak, but I haven't found one. And the 3 largest Chinese wholesalers in the area I live in don't actually sell premium steak. So what I'm saying there is, although it says on the menu fillet steak, you're possibly not getting that. You're getting a lesser grade of beef. However, the way it becomes tender and soft is the Chinese restaurants and takeaways do a thing called velveting, which is a meat tenderizing process, which is what I'm going to show you in this video today. There are a number of ways of doing the velveting process. The way I'm going to show you today uses bicarbonate of soda. The other ways are egg whites. I mean, there are about 3 or 4 different ways to do it. This is by far the simplest way to do it and possibly the most effective. And of the Chinese restaurants I go into on a regular basis with regard to the Malat company, they use the bicarbonate of soda method. So as usual, a full list of ingredients will be given at the end of the video, so let's have a look at those ingredients now and anything else we're going to need for today. So for the recipe today, I've got 350 grams of beef. The important thing here is to cut the beef very thinly. That's all part of the tendering process. 3 tablespoons of a dry white wine, 3 tablespoons of tomato ketchup, 2 tablespoons of a light soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of corn flour, 1 medium onion which has been roughly chopped, 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, 1 tablespoon of ginger garlic paste, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon or about 10 grams of Malat Chinese salt and pepper seasoning, and 2 large carrots which have been chopped into sticks or julienne style. And then for the velveting process for the meat tenderizing, I've got about 50 mils of water, and in there is 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. So if you're using baking soda, then 1 teaspoon, or if you've got baking powder, then it's 2 teaspoons of baking powder in the same amount of water. So the first thing we do is we start the velveting process. So I'm just adding the bicarbonate of soda mix into the beef, mix that in thoroughly. Okay, I'm now going to cover this with food wrap or cling film, place it into the fridge for an hour, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the next step. So while the beef is tenderizing in the fridge, we want to make the sauce. So for that, I'm going to be mixing in a large bowl the white wine, soy sauce, the Malat Chinese salt and pepper seasoning, the corn flour, tomato ketchup, sesame oil, and brown sugar. So the beef's been in the fridge for an hour. The next step is to rinse the beef in a colander under cold water to get rid of any of the bicarbonate of soda residue. It's really important that you do that, otherwise you'll just get a horrible taste on the beef once it's cooked. Okay, so this is the final part of the velveting process, or the tenderizing process. What we're going to do is, with the washed beef, we're going to place it into some simmering water and cook it through for no longer than 3 minutes. So it's just going to be sat in the simmering water for about 3 minutes. What I'm going to do as well, I'm just going to stir the beef a couple of times just to make sure that it doesn't stick together. Okay, so once we've cooked our beef and we've reserved that to one side, kept it warm, the next thing to do is obviously cook the main meal. So I've got 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil in the wok, bringing the wok up to temperature now. And the first thing we want to do is to fry the onions just for 2 or 3 minutes, just to get them soft. So once the onions are soft and have started to break up, then add the carrot. And it's the same technique I always use for Chinese cooking. When you're cooking in a domestic setting like the home, is you just push all of the food to the outside of the wok, just to make sure that as much of that food is in contact with the wok surface as possible. Takes a full advantage of that heat, and that's where a lot of the flavour from Chinese cooking comes from. So we're just going to cook these carrots through again for another couple of minutes. So the carrots and onions are cooking through nicely. I've just turned the carrots once during that 2-minute cooking process. Now the next thing to do is to add the ginger garlic paste, but before I do that, I'm just going to add a little bit of water from the kettle. And the reason for that is, if we add the ginger and garlic paste to hot oil, you'll be cleaning the kitchen for a week and you still won't get rid of the ginger and garlic that flies off. So it can become quite messy. So just adding a little bit of water before you add the ginger and garlic just stops the ginger and garlic from exploding and going everywhere. So I'm just going to cook this ginger and garlic through for a minute before we add in the beef that we pre-cooked earlier. Okay, the next thing to go in is our pre-cooked beef. And I just want to mix that through. We're just going to cook this beef for about a minute again. So I'm just going to add just a little bit more water, not too much. Because I'm going to be adding the sauce in next, and because the sauce has corn flour mixed in, again, if we just add the sauce to a hot pan without any liquid in, and the corn flour will just congeal straight away and the sauce won't be very nice at all. So our sauce now goes in. Okay, so I'm just going to cook this through now for 3 or 4 minutes, just reduce the heat slightly. Just to allow that sauce to reduce, the flavours to intensify, and to really coat that beef in all of those flavours. Okay, so that's it, the sauce is reduced, those flavours have all concentrated. Just taste a piece of this beef. That velveting process or that meat tenderizing process really works. Absolutely delicious, really soft piece of beef, and the flavour is absolutely amazing. So that's it, fillet steak Cantonese style, where you don't actually have to use a premium cut of beef. I certainly don't want to give you the impression though that you can use any old cut of beef. It still has to be a decent cut, just not the premium cuts that you think that you're paying for with the premium prices in the Chinese takeaways and restaurants. As usual, please subscribe to the channel, and if you've enjoyed this particular video, hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching.